Good evening, live from this news center of the Sultanate of Oman television. Here we present to you tonight's news bulletin. But first, the headlines. His Majesty the Sultan greets the King of the Belgium and Emperor of Japan on the National Day of their countries. An Omani medical team from the Royal Hospital succeeds in conducting a surgery for a patient who suffers from a complicated congenital heart defect. The Ministry of Health announces 8 deaths and 1,739 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the Sultanate. And now live from this news center of the Sultanate of Oman television, here we present to you the details of tonight's news bulletin. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq sends a cabal of greetings to His Majesty King Philip of the Kingdom of Belgium on his country's National Day. And His Majesty the Sultan received a cabal of thanks from His Majesty Naruhito, Emperor of Japan, in reply to a greeting cabal sent by His Majesty the Sultan on the occasion of his country's National Day. An Omani medical team from the National Center for Cardiac Medicine and Surgery at the Royal Hospital succeeded in conducting a rare electric catheter for a 40-year-old patient who suffers from a complicated congenital heart defect from birth. A statement by the Ministry of Health stated that the patient recently suffered from disorders and acceleration in the heartbeats, explaining that the difficulty of the catheter was represented by the presence of veins walking to deliver blood to the heart directly as a result of birth defects and the surgeries that were conducted to the patient before, which necessitated the specific catheterization through the aorta unnaturally for this type of heartbeat disorders. The Ministry of Health announced 8 deaths of COVID-19 and 1,739 new confirmed cases, which brings the total number registered in the Sultanate to 68,400, including 326 deaths. The Ministry of Health stresses that 45,150 cases have recovered. As the number of COVID-19 cases in the Sultanate is on the rise, medical teams across the country exert extensive efforts to provide the required intensive care. More details in the following report.
The past few weeks witnessed a drastic increase in the registration of new confirmed cases with coronavirus in the Sultanate, and thus the medical teams across the country exert extensive efforts to provide the needed attention, especially for the hospitalized cases, as more of them require further intensive care.
Unfortunately, the number of COVID-19 has increased dramatically in the recent, I will say, weeks, and this is internationally and locally as well. Here in Khola Hospital, we do receive patient under an intensive care unit, and mainly those patients are those patients with chronic diseases like diabetes mellitus and high blood pressure, and also those with chronic kidney disease.
Although all age groups are at risk of contracting COVID-19, older people are more prone to losing their fight with the virus. According to recent statistics released by the Ministry of Health, most COVID-19 fatalities have been among people in their 60s.
Usually our patients here are aged between 25 to around 82 years old, and usually they are having some chronic diseases like hypertension, diabetes. Actually what we have noticed that most of these patients who require ICU admissions at least, those they usually come from or they got this disease by social gathering, and they got it from the community. We do advise our people really to stick to the protection measures, like wearing masks and to keep their hand hygiene and social distancing.
The increase in the new confirmed cases set an alarm not only for the medical teams, but also for the whole community. And as the blessed Eid al-Adha is approaching, people should observe physical and social distancing, and wearing masks to stop transmission of the virus.
As the number of COVID-19 cases is on the rise, we need to firmly stand together to adhere to the precautionary measures in order to curb the spread of the virus. From Khawla Hospital, Saleh Bukhalfan al-Rahbi, Muscat.
Oman Radio has been working hand in hand with other media outlets to raise people's awareness on the danger and impact of not observing the health guidelines and the benefits of maintaining social distancing. More details in the following report. Since the outbreak of the pandemic of COVID-19, Oman Radio has kept abreast with the latest developments on the national efforts, especially the front line of healthcare workforce. Oman Radio meeting halls and rooms witness continuous and busy preparations and meetings on making and drafting the news on novel coronavirus to reach all citizens and residents of the Sultanate of Oman with important health messages and preventive measures to keep themselves, their families and colleagues safe and sound.
Nowadays, you can have access to radio via various means, including mobile apps, online streaming, as well as the ordinary radio devices. This helps an easy access to radio at your office, your car, your house, or anywhere at any time. In addition, preparing a radio program is much easier, cheaper, and faster than making a TV program. All these criteria has helped radio to quickly reach out to people, especially those who do not speak Arabic, to get our news bulletins, programs, and guidelines related to COVID-19. We are working 7 days, 24 hours to update this news so everybody here in Oman is aware how to deal correctly with this pandemic.
Breaking news coming out, the Ministry of Health today, they've announced that 10 people have died of COVID-19 in the past 24 hours.
Radio news editing teams have been working relentlessly to acquire and deliver reliable, comprehensive, and clear messages and information to its listeners. This is Radio Sultanate of Oman, and the time is 6 p.m. The news first, the headlines.
From the beginning of this pandemic, our daily news bulletins prioritize COVID-19 statement from the Ministry of Health, and we have continuously worked together with news editors to broadcast various reports that educate people in order for them to take precautionary measures on COVID-19. Also, we record informative stings to inform people on many preventive methods.
Oman Radio has been covering updates and decisions from the Supreme Committee on COVID-19 and officials from the Ministry of Health.
What we do here is a lot of programs, awareness programs for the public, so we can be safe and to be away from the coronavirus and to stay healthy and safe.
Figures on new cases, mortality rates, and patients admitted in the healthcare institutions were covered and broadcasted in Arabic and English languages to reach to a broader audience in Oman.
Since coronavirus entered Oman, Oman Radio has given continuous talk on preventive measures.
Indeed, Oman Radio has been working and continue to work hand in hand with other media outlets to raise people awareness on the danger and impact of not observing the health guidelines. At the same time, it has highlighted benefits of making social distancing and other preventive measures. Dear citizens and fellow residents, once again, let's all follow these preventive measures to reduce the transmission of COVID-19. Stay alert, control virus to save lives. Abdullah bin Ahmed al-Rubai, Sultanate of Oman Television, Muscat. Indeed, mask is very important for each and every one, and that social distancing is the most important one. Do stay safe and healthy. Shura Council discussed in its meeting today added value law that is forwarded by the Council of Ministers. The draft law consists of 106 articles and comes within the government plans to achieve fiscal balance and strengthen non-oil resources and their sustainability. The government, through this step, aims to continue comprehensive development program in various governorates of the Sultanate. The Command and Staff College of the Sultan Armed Forces held a ceremony at Muaskar Beit al-Falij to mark the graduation of the 33rd round of officers. The college plays a major role to provide its affiliates from various Sultan's armed forces and other military and security bodies with military skills. The college also offers study seats for students from other GCC countries. Due to the spread of coronavirus, the college adopted remote learning techniques as part of the precautionary measures to limit the spread of COVID-19 pandemic. The graduation ceremony was presided over by Lieutenant General Ahmed bin Harith al-Nabhani, Chief of Staff of the Sultan Armed Forces. Within the framework of the national and humanitarian duties and efforts of the Sultan's Armed Forces, Royal Navy of Oman transported cargo to the Governorate of Masandam in order to ensure availability of all the basic services and commodities to the citizens and residents in all areas of the Governorate. This comes within the framework of the activating national joint work mechanisms among various state, civil and military bodies. Implemented by the National Center for Statistics and Information Call Center, the Electronic Census of Population, Housing and Establishments 2020, in cooperation with the Ministry of Education, began to identify and verify the data of some Omanis at school age. More details in the following report.
The Electronic Census of Population, Housings and Establishments 2020, in cooperation with the Ministry of Education, began to identify and verify the data of some Omanis at school age, organized by the National Center for Statistics and Information Call Center.
Census 2020 is based on or adopting a methodology called register-based methodology. It's a unique methodology, and we take a decision to go or to follow this approach. Not to build only, not to be for census, but to be used in the future as a national register for different kind of service within the government. We reach a stage where we are almost completed 90% of the project. Census 2020 is building multiple data hubs. One of it is related to education hubs. Where we collect data from Ministry of Education, Ministry of Higher Education. We noticed at early stage there is a shortage or incomplete data related to some of the students at the age of 6 to 17 years old. And working with our partners, which is Ministry of Education, we took a decision to activate the call center to reach these families. We believe most of them, they are studying abroad. And starting from yesterday, we started collecting data related to education levels.
The initiative aims to obtain and verify education data and enrollment status of some Omanis at school age. In cooperation with the Ministry of Education, a special field has been added in the educational portal for listing data on educational level for Omanis at school age and others studying abroad.
The Ministry of Education database is considered to be the largest database in Oman because it contains the data of enrolled students and their parents. It also contains the teacher data, administrator, and other employees in the Ministry of Education. When we speak about the education database, we not just speak about the school, government school. It also contains the private school, international school, and other types of school in Sultanate of Oman.
The process will continue from July 19th to September 30th. It comes as a confirmation of the importance of setting up an integrated education database that encompasses all Omanis in line with the Ministry of Education's vision, based on developing education and learning in a manner that ensures building a generation capable of continued learning. For the Sultanate of Oman Television, Saleh bin Khalfan al-Rahbi.
You're watching the Sultanate of Oman Television, and yet to come in our news bulletin, Paris Plage opens with a floating cinema on the sea. Welcome back to the Sultanate of Oman television. A total of 606,605 deaths were recorded globally out of more than 14,600,000 cases. A count based on official data showed, including 205,065 deaths in Europe. The virus is spreading rapidly in Latin America. The region with the second most recorded deaths were 160,726 people have died. The United States is the country with the most deaths, with 140,103, followed by Brazil, 78,772. The number of deaths linked to COVID-19 has doubled in just over 2 months, and more than 100,000 new deaths have been registered in the 3 weeks since June 20th. East China city of Nianying, Jiangsu province remains in the red alert against floods as the Yangtze River section's water level has reached 10.28 meters, 1.58 meters above the warning level, a historical high. The local government department has ramped up efforts to watch for the danger spot and got ready for emergencies. It was learned from the authorities in the Puku district's Nianying that all areas along the Yangtze River have already launched the level 1 flood control response starting from 10:00 hours Saturday, and the local anti-flood work has got all time ready with 1 hour interval patrol round the clock and checking especially for collapsing of embankment and the cracking of the top end slopes of the leaves. With an unusual alternative to indoor movie theaters in the time of COVID-19, Paris Place has this year opened with an open-air cinema set on the banks of the river Seine. Paris Place in an annual event that transforms sections of the river Seine waterfront into a beachfront. This year, organizers MK2 Cinemas partnered with the City of Paris for the event. On Saturday, moviegoers were able to watch a free showing of 2018 French comedy Le Grand Bain from 38 electric boats or on deck chairs on the riverbank. MK2 Cinemas Chief Executive Officer Elisha Karmitz said it was an opportunity to show people that people could continue to enjoy cinemas in Paris in all forms. Parisians Luc Bouvier said he went to an indoor cinema wearing a mask but was still apprehensive. He said he felt much safer at an open-air screening. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. His Majesty the Sultan greets King of Belgium and Emperor of Japan on the National Day of their countries. An Omani medical team from the Royal Hospital succeeds in conducting a surgery for a patient who suffers from a complicated congenital heart defect. And the Ministry of Health announces 8 deaths and 1,739 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the Sultanate. With that, we do conclude this news bulletin. Thank you for joining us, and do remember to take the precautionary measures wherever you go. Keep your masks and use that physical distance between you and other colleagues, and stay safe and alert. Control the virus. Good night.